Olivia Bennet had never expected much from life beyond the quiet routines of raising her 8-year-old son, Ethan. As a single mom, her world revolved around homework, late-night shifts at the local diner, and paying bills on time. Their small apartment in a modest neighborhood wasn't glamorous, but it was home. Across the hall lived someone entirely different, Daniel Sterling. He was the kind of man people whispered about in admiration or envy. A self-made millionaire, Daniel had founded a tech company that skyrocketed in value. Unlike the neighbors who struggled with rent, Daniel drove sleek cars, wore tailored suits, and occasionally appeared in glossy magazines. Yet despite his wealth, Daniel kept to himself. The building assumed he looked down on them. But Olivia noticed subtle kindnesses, packages carried for elderly tenants, rent quietly covered for a struggling family. He never boasted, and he never asked for recognition. Olivia admired him from afar, though their interactions were limited to polite nods in the hallway. Everything changed one Thursday evening when Ethan's soccer ball rolled across the hall, and Daniel, instead of just returning it, stopped to talk. Daniel crouched to hand Ethan the ball. "Good aim," he said with a warm smile. Ethan beamed, instantly comfortable with him. Olivia, however, felt awkward. Millionaires didn't usually linger in conversation with diner waitresses. But Daniel surprised her. "Olivia, I know this is sudden, but I'm invited to a charity gala this weekend. I'd rather not go alone. Would you consider coming with me?" Olivia blinked, unsure she heard right. "Me?" "Yes, you." His tone was calm, not condescending. "You're genuine, Olivia. I'd like your company if you're comfortable with it." Her instinct was to say no. She didn't own a gown, couldn't imagine fitting into a room of high society. But Ethan looked up at her with wide eyes. "Mom, you should go, like Cinderella." Daniel chuckled. "I'll take care of the details. All you need to bring is yourself." For reasons she couldn't explain, Olivia agreed. That night, Olivia lay awake in bed. What had she gotten herself into? She had nothing to wear, no idea how to navigate the world of galas. Memories of her divorce crept in, her ex-husband's disdain, his cruel remarks about her never being enough. The next morning, a knock at the door interrupted her worries. A delivery box sat outside. Inside was an elegant navy blue gown, subtle yet dazzling, paired with silver heels. A note rested on top. "You deserve to shine, D." Tears welled in Olivia's eyes. No one had ever done something like this for her. Still, doubt gnawed at her. Would people laugh at her presence? Would she embarrass Daniel? Ethan hugged her waist and whispered, "You'll be the prettiest one there, Mom." For him, she promised herself she would be brave. When the evening arrived, Daniel appeared at her door in a perfectly tailored black tuxedo. For a moment, Olivia felt breathless. He looked at her with a spark of genuine admiration. "You look incredible," he said softly. At the Grand Hotel, chandeliers glittered above marble floors. Photographers lined the entrance, flashing cameras as Daniel guided Olivia inside. Conversations hushed briefly as eyes turned toward them, many recognizing Daniel, few recognizing the woman at his side. Whispers followed. Who is she? A model? A business partner? Olivia held her head high, repeating Ethan's words in her mind. She was enough. As they made their way to their table, Daniel leaned close. "Ignore the noise. Tonight it's just us." The evening unfolded smoothly until a familiar figure approached. Tall, polished, and wearing diamonds that caught every light in the room, Victoria Sterling, Daniel's ex-wife, walked toward them. "Daniel," she purred, ignoring Olivia entirely. "It's been ages. You didn't tell me you'd be bringing company." Her eyes flicked to Olivia with a condescending smile. Olivia's heart pounded, but she steadied herself. This was the woman who had once been Daniel's world, and she clearly saw Olivia as nothing more than an unworthy stand-in. But Daniel didn't flinch. He placed his hand gently over Olivia's and said, "Victoria, meet my neighbor, Olivia Bennet. She's the reason tonight feels worth attending." For the first time, Victoria's confident mask faltered. Victoria's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Neighbor?" she repeated, her voice dripping with disdain. "How quaint." The people nearby leaned closer, sensing drama. Olivia felt heat rise in her cheeks, but Daniel's steady hand over hers anchored her. "Yes, Daniel replied evenly. Olivia lives across the hall from me. She's raising an incredible son on her own. She's stronger than most people I know. Victoria's smirk faltered. The words weren't just polite introductions. They were an open declaration of respect. Olivia felt something shift inside her. Validation she had never expected to hear, especially not in front of glittering elites. Victoria glanced Olivia up and down. Well, I suppose charity events are meant for everyone. She walked away, her perfume lingering like smoke. Daniel squeezed Olivia's hand. Ignore her. She feeds on reaction. You don't owe her anything. Olivia nodded, though part of her simmered. Maybe she didn't owe Victoria anything, but she refused to let herself be invisible. The gala carried on with champagne flutes, clinking and music floating across the ballroom. Still, Olivia could feel eyes on her, assessing, judging, wondering what Daniel Sterling could possibly see in her. A pair of socialites at the next table whispered not so quietly. She doesn't belong here. Look at her dress. Off the rack, surely. Olivia's spine stiffened. For years she had endured whispers. At the diner, in the schoolyard, even from her ex-husband's family. But tonight was different. Tonight she wasn't alone. Daniel leaned closer, whispering just for her. They're jealous. Let them be. Olivia looked into his eyes. For the first time she believed him. Later in the evening, the orchestra struck a waltz. Daniel stood and extended his hand. Dance with me? Olivia hesitated. She hadn't danced since her wedding years ago, but something in Daniel's gaze told her he wouldn't let her falter. He led her onto the polished floor. At first her steps were uncertain, but Daniel's steady rhythm guided her. Soon it felt natural, as though they had danced together 100 times before. Around them the crowd faded. The whispers turned into background noise, the chandeliers a blur of light. For a few minutes, Olivia forgot every hardship, every doubt. When the music ended, applause filled the hall. Some clapped for the orchestra, but many clapped for them. Olivia blushed, realizing eyes weren't just judging anymore. Some were admiring. Of course, Victoria wasn't done. She approached once more, this time holding 2 champagne glasses. Daniel, darling, you always did know how to charm the room. She handed him a glass and turned her gaze on Olivia. And you? Tell me, Olivia, what exactly do you do? Her tone was sugar-laced with venom. The nearby guests leaned in. They love scenes like this. Olivia straightened. She could have lied, tried to inflate her worth, but instead she answered truthfully, I'm a waitress. I work the night shift at Maple Street Diner. Gasps fluttered. Victoria's smile widened, certain she had landed the perfect insult. A waitress, she repeated, drawing out the syllables. How refreshing. Daniel set his glass down sharply. And she's raising a son with more integrity than most people in this room will ever know. But before Daniel could say more, Olivia felt a spark of bravery ignite. Olivia met Victoria's eyes with calm defiance. Yes, I'm a waitress. I serve coffee, listen to people's stories, and work hard to keep a roof over my son's head. I may not wear diamonds, but at least everything I have is real. No alimony payments required. The room went silent. Then a few muffled laughs broke through, spreading into genuine applause from nearby tables. Even the orchestra players smirked behind their instruments. Victoria's face froze, her perfect mask cracking as the weight of Olivia's words sank in. She muttered something inaudible and turned sharply on her heel, retreating into the crowd. Daniel's eyes sparkled with admiration. He whispered, Remind me never to get on your bad side. Olivia exhaled, her hands trembling, but inside she felt taller than she had in years.
The gala continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. Olivia walked with confidence, holding her head high. Guests who had initially whispered now nodded with respect, some even offering congratulations. Daniel stayed close, proud of her courage. You handled that brilliantly, he said softly. I think everyone here just learned a lesson in class and dignity. Olivia smiled, feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. For the first time, she realized she didn't need approval from anyone, not even Victoria. As the night wore on, Daniel and Olivia shared quiet moments between laughter and speeches, enjoying the simple pleasure of each other's company. It felt like the world had narrowed to just the two of them. After the gala, Daniel offered Olivia a ride home in his sleek black car. The city lights reflected off the glossy surface, casting glittering reflections across the streets. Olivia gazed out the window, absorbing the view, her mind racing. "I never imagined anything like tonight," she admitted. Daniel smiled. "And I never imagined sharing it with anyone as remarkable as you." Her heart skipped a beat. She had lived a life full of compromise and quiet struggles, and yet here was a man who saw her, not her mistakes, her modest apartment, or her diner job, but her. The next morning, Olivia woke to a text from Daniel. "Good morning, superstar. Coffee tonight." She laughed, her son peeking over her shoulder. "Mom, he called you a superstar." Olivia realized that her life was changing in small, significant ways. She had stepped out of the shadows and into a world she never thought was meant for her. But more importantly, she had done it on her own terms. Even Ethan noticed a shift. "Mom, you were amazing," he said, hugging her tightly. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Daniel. This one contained a photo of her in the navy blue gown, smiling confidently, with a single line, "You belong in the spotlight." Days later, Olivia returned to her routine, but life seemed brighter. At the diner, a woman she didn't know approached. "You're Olivia Bennett, right?" she asked, hesitant. "I saw you at the gala. That comeback to Victoria, it was incredible. You inspired me." Olivia smiled, touched. She realized her story wasn't just about surviving. It was about standing tall and influencing others with strength and wit. Even Daniel noticed. He leaned in one afternoon. "You're making waves, Olivia, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's ever been underestimated." One evening, Daniel invited Olivia and Ethan over for dinner at his penthouse. The skyline stretched endlessly, glittering like the stars. Ethan ran to explore, his laughter echoing off the walls. Olivia felt herself relax, her worries temporarily dissolved. Daniel poured them both wine, Olivia with juice, of course, and they sat at the table. Conversation flowed naturally, punctuated by laughter. "Olivia," Daniel said finally, "I meant what I said at the gala. You're extraordinary. Not because of tonight, but because of who you are every day. I hope you know that." Her eyes softened. "Thank you, Daniel. Tonight, the gala, the speech, all of it, it felt like a beginning, not an ending." He reached for her hand. "Exactly. And I'd like to see where this beginning leads." Olivia smiled, realizing that life had indeed just begun in ways she had never imagined. Over the next few weeks, Olivia and Daniel spent more time together. What started as simple dinners and coffee runs evolved into long conversations about dreams, fears, and life's unexpected twists. Ethan adored Daniel, calling him Uncle Dan, and Olivia noticed how naturally her son had accepted him. There was no pretense, no awkwardness, just genuine connection. Olivia found herself laughing more, feeling lighter than she had in years. She realized that life didn't have to be just survival. It could be joy, shared and real. Daniel, on the other hand, discovered a side of himself that rarely surfaced in the corporate world. Olivia reminded him that success meant nothing without meaning, laughter, and love. Of course, not everyone in the city was supportive. Gossip spread like wildfire. How did a waitress get Daniel Sterling's attention? Social media posts questioned. Victoria, bitter and resentful, continued to lurk in the background. She made subtle attempts to undermine Olivia at charity events and social gatherings, but Olivia handled it all with poise. You can't control what people say, Daniel reminded her one evening, but you can control how you react, and you reacted with grace. Olivia nodded, realizing that she had learned a new kind of strength. Standing tall in a room full of judgmental eyes was not easy, but it was empowering. Daniel invited Olivia to an art exhibit opening as his guest. This time, she felt less like an outsider. She navigated the crowd confidently, discussing paintings and artists as though she belonged. Victoria appeared briefly, her icy stare cutting through the room. Olivia simply smiled politely, refusing to engage. "See," Daniel whispered, "you're unstoppable." Olivia felt a surge of pride. The gala had been a test, and now she was acing life in Daniel's world without losing herself. One evening, Olivia and Daniel sat on the balcony, city lights stretching endlessly before them. "I wasn't sure I could do it," Olivia admitted, her voice soft. "The gala meeting Victoria, I thought I'd crumble." Daniel took her hand. "You didn't just survive. You shined. You made everyone, including her, see you for who you are. That takes courage." She leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling safe and cherished. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to imagine a future beyond struggle, one filled with love, laughter, and hope. Daniel's gestures became more thoughtful. Handwritten notes, surprise flowers, small adventures around the city. One evening, he invited Olivia and Ethan to a quiet rooftop dinner. Candles flickered, soft music played, and the skyline glittered around them. "Olivia," Daniel began, his voice steady but full of emotion, "these past weeks have shown me what truly matters. I don't just admire you. I care for you deeply, more than I can express in words." Olivia's heart raced. She had anticipated affection, even admiration, but not this intensity. He continued, smiling warmly at Ethan as well. "I want us to be a family, in every sense of the word. Will you continue this journey with me?" Tears welled in Olivia's eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, we will." The city lights sparkled like their future, bright, uncertain, but full of promise. Life for Olivia and Daniel settled into a new rhythm. Olivia had become comfortable navigating Daniel's world, attending events and mingling with a circle. Yet she never lost her authenticity, always kind, witty, and grounded. Ethan thrived, balancing school and play, proudly introducing Olivia as the coolest mom ever to friends. Daniel admired how naturally she adapted without compromising herself. Each time Olivia laughed, he felt reminded that wealth meant nothing without heart and connection. Victoria was not one to be ignored. At a high-profile charity auction, she appeared with a calculated smile, determined to reclaim attention. "Daniel," she said, voice polished, "I didn't expect to see you here with her." Her eyes flicked to Olivia, filled with thinly veiled contempt. Olivia met her gaze calmly. "Hello, Victoria. I hope the evening is going well for you." The remark, simple yet poised, caught Victoria off guard. A few nearby guests whispered, impressed by Olivia's composure. Daniel leaned closer, whispering, "She won't stop, but neither will we." At the same auction, Olivia's poise did not go unnoticed. Several influential attendees approached her, complimenting her confidence and charm. "You're remarkable," one said. "I've never seen someone command a room with such grace." Olivia realized that her life had shifted dramatically. Once an observer from the sidelines, she was now part of conversations, respected and admired. Daniel watched her interactions with pride. See, he said softly. People notice true strength, Olivia, and you have an abundance. After the auction, Daniel invited Olivia and Ethan to a quiet celebration at his penthouse. The city lights twinkled below as they shared a private dinner. Tonight, I just want to celebrate you, Daniel said, raising a glass. Not the gala, not the events. For every challenge you faced, every moment you've persevered. Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. I couldn't have imagined any of this a few months ago, she admitted. And I certainly couldn't have imagined it with you by my side. Daniel smiled. And I couldn't have imagined finding someone like you who keeps me grounded, laughing, and inspired every day. Ethan, sensing the importance of the moment, climbed onto Olivia's lap. Mom, we're like a team now. A real team. Olivia hugged him tightly, looking up at Daniel. Yes, she said softly. A team. Together. Daniel joined them, forming a circle. They laughed, shared stories, and marveled at the life they were building, one of love, respect, and newfound confidence. Even Victoria's lingering threats felt distant. Olivia realized her strength didn't come from Daniel's wealth, but from herself. And with Daniel and Ethan beside her, she felt unstoppable. Though life with Daniel felt like a dream, Olivia sometimes wrestled with doubts late at night. Do I really belong here? She wondered. Or am I just living in a chapter that will eventually close? Her ex-husband's voice echoed in her memory. You'll never be more than a tired waitress. But then she remembered the gala, the way she stood tall before Victoria, and Daniel's unwavering support. The battle inside her wasn't about wealth. It was about believing she was worthy of love, respect, and happiness. Victoria was not finished. Rumors began to swirl in society columns. Anonymous tips suggested Olivia was using Daniel for his wealth. Photographs of her at the diner appeared in tabloids with cruel captions. Daniel brought the papers to her, furious. She's behind this, he said, but it doesn't matter. People who matter know the truth. Olivia sighed. I've dealt with whispers my whole life. This time they won't break me. Her resilience impressed him more than any gala gown ever could. One evening, Olivia left work to find a bouquet of flowers waiting outside the diner. The card read, For the woman who taught us what strength looks like, your Maple Street family. Her co-workers and regular customers had rallied behind her, outraged at the cruel gossip. Tears welled in Olivia's eyes. She realized that respect wasn't earned by diamonds or status. It was earned by how you treated people every day. And she had unknowingly inspired many. Daniel received another invitation, this time the most prestigious gala of the year. Come with me, he said. Not as my guest, but as my equal. We'll face whatever comes together. Olivia hesitated. Memories of whispers and judgment still stung. But then she remembered Ethan's words. You're the prettiest, Mom. She agreed, determined not to shrink back into the shadows. This gala would not be her test. It would be her triumph. On the night of the gala, Olivia entered on Daniel's arm, wearing a flowing emerald gown that lit her eyes like fire. The crowd turned, whispers rising again, but this time, not a mockery. Admiration filled the room. Who is she? Some asked. She's breathtaking, others said. Victoria appeared, her diamonds glittering. But for the first time, her confidence faltered. Olivia wasn't just surviving the night. She was commanding it. And Daniel, smiling with quiet pride, whispered, Now the world sees what I've always known. You're extraordinary. The grand gala buzzed with excitement. Olivia and Daniel arrived early, their hands intertwined. The chandeliers sparkled like constellations, reflecting the elegance of the evening. Whispers followed them, Victoria included, but Olivia's confidence radiated. No longer the timid single mom, she now held herself with grace and poise. Each step was deliberate, each glance commanding attention. Daniel leaned close. "Tonight is yours as much as mine. Remember that." Olivia nodded, feeling the thrill of empowerment course through her. Victoria approached with a calculated smile. "I must say, Olivia, you've certainly transformed since the last gala." Her tone was sharp, her eyes challenging. Olivia returned her smile, calm and witty. "I like to keep people guessing. Life's too short for predictability, don't you think?" The room seemed to pause. Guests turned, sensing the tension and waiting for the next move. Victoria's smirk faltered, realizing Olivia was no longer intimidated by her presence. Daniel whispered, "You're magnificent," and Olivia felt her courage double. The orchestra began a soft waltz. Daniel offered his hand. "May I have this dance?" Olivia stepped onto the floor, her gown flowing like water. For the first time, the dance wasn't just about elegance. It was about victory, dignity, and self-respect. Guests watched in awe as Olivia moved with natural charm and confidence. Murmurs spread. "She belongs here. She's extraordinary." Even Victoria looked on, her confidence cracking further with each graceful step Olivia took. As the night progressed, a speech was announced. Daniel, always composed, took the stage. "Tonight," he began, "I want to recognize someone extraordinary. Someone whose courage, wit, and heart have inspired not just me, but everyone who knows her. Olivia Bennett, my neighbor, my inspiration, and the love of my life." Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. Olivia, standing beside him, felt tears prickle her eyes. She realized that every challenge, every whispered insult, every late-night struggle, had led to this moment of triumph. Victoria's face paled, her carefully constructed image crumbling in silence. Finally, Victoria approached one last time, attempting to reclaim some dignity. "Daniel, surely you can't." Olivia stepped forward, confident and composed. "Victoria," she said, her voice calm but sharp, "I don't need diamonds to shine, and I don't need approval to exist. Tonight, I stand here because of integrity, love, and hard work, qualities you might want to reconsider in yourself." The room gasped. Some laughed quietly, others clapped. Daniel hugged Olivia from behind, whispering, "You stun the world." Victoria, defeated, could only walk away, her ego in tatters. Olivia looked at Daniel and Ethan, feeling a warmth that surpassed any gown, any gala, or any wealth. She had conquered judgment, won respect, and found love. As they left the gala together, hand in hand, the city lights sparkled around them, not just as a backdrop, but as a promise of a life filled with courage, joy, and unwavering love. The end.